The current status of Avengers The Kang Dynasty is that Marvel Studios is redeveloping the project due to the fact that not only is the star of the project, Jonathan Majors, no longer attached to it, but also they're looking to get past Kang rather quick and move on to the future of the MCU with a reboot. So while the redevelopment is going on and we don't exactly know what it's all about and what it's going to end up being, a brand new leak in relation to the former version of the Kang Dynasty gives us an insight into what Marvel Studios was planning with its original version. So this would be the draft that was done by Jeff Loveness, who, if you guys have been keeping up with, was fired from Avengers The Kang Dynasty after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania ended up being a disaster for Marvel Studios, to put it kindly. Well, in the last couple of hours, multiple insiders have posted what they are saying is what his film was about, some of the details, and how Marvel Studios intended to soft reboot the MCU. Now, once again, take this with a grain of salt, because these rumors are, well, coming from sources that can't be proven wrong, and Marvel Studios is never going to pull a James Gunn, go out there and go, hey, stop making applies to make money. So, again, grain of salt here. But, according to the reports, Avengers The Kang Dynasty had all the MCU characters we've seen so far uniting to fight various Kang variants on Earth. The only one that was missing and is not in the film, and it's never explained here why, is Thor. For some reason, he's not involved. Now, beyond that, the reports go and say that this was a very grounded story with very little multiverse elements, and that it was largely set on Earth, and it sounds like New York. Now, here's where I want to throw in the first contradiction. These same people that are reporting this now were the ones saying that the Kang Dynasty was all about the multiverse variants all uniting to fight Kang, and that would lead to Secret Wars focusing on the MCU characters. So, which report here is correct? Because they were stating that like 3 months ago. So again, grain of salt, but I just want to put that out there. Now here apparently they state that it was the reverse, where the heroes from the alternate realities were the focus of Avengers Secret Wars. So again, it's reverse of what we heard before, which kind of tracks in this way, right? Kang Dynasty would need to be naturally a little bit more MCU centric, and then you blow out the multiverse and here's all the variants with Secret Wars. So that all sort of checks out and makes a lot of sense. So I guess this is the one. So who knows if they're going to keep any elements of this in relation to the two films. But then we also got an update on what Marvel Studios was intending to do with the reboot with Secret Wars. So Secret Wars would have naturally played out in terms of the bigger story and how it affects everything across the bigger and wider multiverse, spanning not just from the MCU, but all the corners of Sony's live action universe, Fox's leftovers, everything would have been in effect. The idea was to soft reboot the MCU on a new Earth, with all the current heroes staying where they are, but bringing in the mutants and the Fantastic Four, obviously the new Fantastic Four, but mutants that are holdovers and also mutants that are new, and essentially establishing sort of like a post-CW WB Crisis on Infinite Earths, where now everything is on one Earth, even though the CW and DC undid that quickly, but that was the idea here, to make everything coherent and one thing. The big takeaway also here is that Marvel's very new, made for what if character Kahori was going to be showing up in live action, and that they had plans for her to stick around for a major future in the MCU. Now back to the mutant front, allegedly this is exactly what the whole goal for mutants was, and that's to bring them in through the multiverse, and then there's your mutants, we don't have to explain them. Now again, these reports are contradicting direct Marvel Studios statements and what's going on. There was literally mutants in She-Hulk. Miss Marvel is a mutant. Like, there's mutants in the MCU right now running around. So again, there's a little contradiction here with these reports and insiders and what they're saying. Now, my guess is this is how you bring in leftovers. You know, oh, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He's staying around, right? Well, he's going to be the multiverse variant. Same with Deadpool. But then other ones that you need to sort of recast or from the ground up reboot, like a brand new X-Men, my guess would be that's how you kind of handle the split the difference. Hey, yeah, they're in the MCU. Here's Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Surprise, they're like 18, 19 years old. Here you go. You don't have to worry about them being leftovers from the old universe because the actors get too old or anything. You just keep the biggest fan favorites. Now, an interesting thing I also saw that somebody said that was related to this is that the whole Spider-Man deal essentially would factor into this in a major way. Now, in case you guys have been following or haven't been following, most of you know that there's a very confusing partnership between Marvel Studios, Disney, and Sony and what they're doing and how they're handling everything going forward. And if you look at it, Marvel Studios doesn't really acknowledge Sony's universe, but Sony's universe is trying to backpedal. A thing I saw that recently could relate to this is that apparently Marvel Studios wants to work out a deal where they could be more hands-on with all of Sony's things to try to really make it all one universe. But if there's a soft reboot, and then Spider-Man stays, but Sony's doing something with Spider-Man, then that means we're still going to be dealing with the same fallout, which doesn't benefit anybody. So again, there's a couple contradictions here in relation to what's being stated, what's been stated, what we're hearing, and now what we're seeing in terms of these leaks. I'm believing like half of this at best, because to me, it just seems like it's a lot of guesswork and a lot of, hey, this is what I'm putting out right now where nobody can debunk it. And who's going to debunk all of this, right? Marvel Studios is never going to come out and say it. I mean, they did that one time, and people are still literally saying that Marvel Studios lied, where people were saying for a year, no, it's called Avengers Annihilation. And then Marvel Studios was like, no, we actually called it Endgame from the very moment we switched titles. After it was Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. But people still don't believe them for whatever reason. Choose what parts of this you want to believe, but I'm convinced it's just good guesswork. Because we've seen that pay off tons of times for insiders and reports. So there it is. That's the big, I guess, news dump today that was posted.